I go on, then it'll get people to.
Oh, we're
It
live.
usually hits the algorithm to bring them on live. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the new left. Uh, chilling late night, just trying to, we're gonna shoot the shit, and it's me, Z, ADC. We got Andrew too. We're gonna start off with Dark Brandon tonight. But I'm gonna go ahead and send out a tweet just to make sure everybody knows we're live. But how are you two doing?
As good as can be. Hold on,
I just heard myself backfeeding.
You did have noises coming
echo.
from different devices, so we'll make sure that that's not there. It's what happens.
I don't
when
know. I
we go
kind of
late.
like the echo. You know.
It sounds like it's just like one of those like background mellow things, just like in a movie.
Well, people say that we're in an echo chamber because we don't have that many viewers. So hey, let's just go with it.
We just us like it's just all us listening to ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Let me see.
Yeah, no, I need the distraction. You guys, I mean, we'll let the viewers know we had to put our dog down today, so it was a very sad day.
Oh,
We need a little bit of distraction, a little bit of rant, maybe some laughter, of course. But and Z and you and our potential guest that was had some fatherly issues, I guess.
Yeah. New baby, sleep, no sleep.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's like what's going on. Luckily, they understood because they too have a tiny
new baby.
Yeah, so it wasn't one of those things where it was like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah, no, mine was just the it's a comment on the hair, I believe. That's beautiful hair. That's why I'm wearing the hat. But no, I had very similar thing. We had Juby up. She was violently ill. The vet actually, when we took her in, the diagnosis was she was anemic and like so bad that her ears and her gums were not colored; they were all white. So they didn't know if it was from a issue with her liver or if there was a tumor. She's 13, so we got as much as we could. And the biggest thing was that she was having breathing issues. So that was the whole thing. As I was up throughout the night, my wife was up first, starting at 3, and then I took over at 4, and then I was up with her. And unfortunately, she just had no control and was weak. So yeah, I had poop on me, and like it was like having a baby again. But
but I definitely understand that. I've been there.
I didn't like. I was like, okay, I don't want to have a dog because I don't want a puppy because I don't want poop everywhere. Then when you have a senior dog who starts to like in her last days, yeah, you're gonna have poop everywhere anyway. So hey, if you like dogs and you like kids, you'll just deal with poop.
I mean, that is a forever true statement. Dogs and kids are constant poop.
That's right.
That's what we're starting off with tonight. Just a bunch of poop.
Well, Dark Brandon,
one could call it a shit show.
Yes.
But speaking of shit show, I want to talk about the Dark Brandon meme, which has been like blowing up on like liberal Twitter. And it started off as like just it was actually started off as this Vox article goes on. It talks about how it started off in the dark MAGA parts of the internet, where a lot of random, you remember those golden plated chest plate Trump memes and the ones where he's just riding like a Nordic god over like fucking Valhalla. But yeah, that's where those came from. So the Dark Brandon memes, what?
The House of Q.
The House of pretty much, yeah, the House of Q. And so the Dark Brandon memes are pretty much, they started off right after like the Let's Go Brandon meme. And actually it says that it started off in Dark MAGA, but another article that I was reading, because there's conflicting sources. Another article said that it started off, the Slate article says it started off in the angry leftist like parts of Twitter. So it's really weird. But the thing is, last week we saw the killing of that illegal killing drone strike in Afghanistan that ended up killing one of the Taliban's leaders, right? And the Dems started co-opting the Dark Brandon meme. So now, instead of like, people just instead of like MAGA just using it to make Joe Biden ironically look like an asshole, because like it makes him look all tough, but he's fumbling all the time. So, but in reality, he's fumbling. So I don't, right wing memes don't really make any sense. Like they don't ever make sense. But so now the libs are taking it to make him look cool, and now we're just getting pretty much like those Rambo style or like crazy, like real like super Americanized, like
the Putin riding a bear.
Pretty much Putin riding a bear.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me see. I'm gonna try to get some of these pictures. There's actually some really interesting ones here, and if I might have to get one of you guys to share it if need be.
I'm surprised they haven't made like a comic book of Biden yet. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was looking at the there was like Now This video, and you know those people who made like those real life action figures, and they made like the presidential action figures that made like a Volodymyr Zelensky one, and it's like they have like a Kickstarter for it, and all these people are just like funding money into Zelensky. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I'm gonna need one of you guys to I send it to the private chat, but if one of y'all can put it up.
Yeah, let's see if we've got here. That's there. All right.
And as you go further down, you'll see the
oh yeah, here we go. So that, how's that look? I'm looking on the screen here. Yeah, okay.
It looks pretty corny, but
malarkey
will not go unchecked. Yes.
I don't even know. Like this is a pro Biden meme.
Yeah, that's how you get like it started off in the right wing corners, but then it just like made over.
I'm sorry, but like malarkey will not go unchecked, Jack. Like literally, that's what people say to make fun of him. Like it's just like what? How is this an
Also, can you go right back up real fast?
Yeah, for sure.
How are you cross-eyed with laser eyes?
Yeah, the laser eyes aren't quite adding up.
That looks like an airplane, actually. It looks like the lights on a plane going into his head.
It's pretty. Let's go to the next one. That one's pretty good too.
Oh, Jesus. Literally Jesus.
Oh, is he in the sky, or is he like
I don't know.
Surrounded by a tornado? Like
he's in a cave. I don't know.
Is he getting about to get swallowed up?
Like I said, it has those vibes of the Trump ones, but it's like doesn't make sense because it's Joe Biden.
Yeah. It's like a Napoleon suit, just missing the hat.
Yeah, what the fuck's he wearing?
I don't know, or a pirate outfit. Jesus. Oh. All right. Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
Republican
tears. Joe.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So they basically just got like the what is it, the dishwasher repair guy, and just put Biden's face on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dude. Oh, that's some Jesus. Was he watching?
Oh, go up to that one. Go over that one. It says
that's the U.S. Open, isn't it? Like he's the judge at the tennis.
He's either at tennis or he's back doing his lifeguard activities
with no hands. Or well, I guess there's a hand there. It's got a bolt. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a very like weird phenomenon. Like
that's just
it's
terrible. Odd. And people like, I mean, you look at my shirts. This is one of the original shirts I did, which is Turn Your Back on Tyranny. I did one. This is the Premier of Alberta, Jason Chenney, and I also did one with Trump. But I mean, it's graphic as shit. I mean, it was me starting out. It's still better than what the hell these guys are putting out. Jeez.
It's bad.
Oh,
and it's cringe, and I don't understand. But I wanted to share and hopefully, amuse.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing that one because that's just terrible. Holy shit. Anyway.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I mean, I understand the brand, or like, let's go Brandon. Like, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, well, sense is the QAnon, Q-Trumplican, lunatic fringe is going to make sense, but that doesn't make sense at all. That's just.
It's like it's like a meta version of like Let's Go Brandon, but that didn't even make sense. It was just the fact that people said the wrong thing at the NASCAR. I don't know.
Yeah,
they were saying fuck Joe Biden. It was like Let's Go Brandon, but it's
the reporter or the person interviewing the NASCAR driver thought that they were saying, because the NASCAR driver's name was Brandon. I don't follow NASCAR, but I know their name was Brandon.
One good joke, and they like beat it like to death, like that, because that's like the only meme the only good meme that they ever made.
Sort of like Fallon on the Tonight Show.
It was funny. I originally took it as like them making fun of how dumb the media is, because it was like either the person really didn't hear what they were like, quick, let's just fool people into it being something else. Because
I think you're giving them too much credit, though. Like that's a little too deep for like a right wing meme.
Yeah. No, definitely. I thought that might have been the like original intent, and then it got all like, completely messed up. But that's at least how I saw it with Let's Go Brandon. But yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, now it's become the and now it's libs who are using it, so it's even weirder. It's like,
but it almost makes as much sense as Biden does, which is absolutely none. Like, if you saw him signing that, I don't know if you saw the video of him signing the new act that supposedly whatever, and he gave Manchin the pen. Oh my God, I laughed so hard. I was watching it on Punched Up last night, and they were covering it, and I laughed and laughed and laughed because he was basically just spreading COVID at the entire thing. Like, he coughed in his hands after taking off his mask. Then he grabbed the pen to write whatever. Then he shook hands with everyone. Then he went into the crowd and shook hands with them too, and hugging. I'm just like, oh my God.
Someone said that like when he was talking, he like someone shared a meme. I don't know if you've ever seen that SpongeBob episode when he has the suds. Someone was like, Joe Biden has the suds. Like, it's bad.
Joe Biden is basically what is it? Fucking the man. The one that's in the old home that SpongeBob and Patrick always. Mermaid Man. That's basically Biden. He's Mermaid Man.
Joe Biden is Mermaid Man.
And just.
Though I hope Mermaid Man was not a segregationist.
Oh, well, he probably was. I don't know. There's some shit going on with Nickelodeon, so we could go.
There's way too much going on at Nickelodeon. That's a whole other video on its own.
That's a whole nother story, and we'll cover that on another show. Maybe we'll do late night, and where we can cover things. Oh, you got the video. Okay. Yeah, that's the one. Like, look at this. So he's already coughed in his hand by this point. All right, here we go. Just what? Like, this is just ridiculous.
You're murdering people.
Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on.
Oh my God.
Oh, here's my pen. Oh, take my hand. Yes, you're all gonna die. This is just. Oh, yeah. Hold on.
It's so
Take my hand. Oh.
Even if there wasn't COVID, that's too much touching and coughing.
That's way too much touching. Oh,
well, there's so much going on in this little time.
The music is not helping either.
No.
Oh shit.
There's so
I didn't even catch that.
I know people say that all the time, but they're so performative. It's
the fact that he's got
to be clear,
majority in the front row, that pisses me off, because basically you're trying to kill the black and brown communities right off the fucking bat. That I didn't even catch that last night. That the first people he shook hands in the crowd were black people. Jesus. Anyway, sorry, man. That was just my.
I thought for a while that the music was just added just to make it sound like, for the sound effect, but now I'm realizing that was the music in the background, like actually music playing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That was holy shit. That they could not have picked worse or better depending on how you want to look at it. It's hilarious.
That was like patriotic World War II music.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the stuff that we would have to use because we don't want to pay the royalties.
Yeah, actually, that is true. That's actually like you get that from like the public domain.
Yeah, exactly. But one thing, I mean, from the start, you could just see how uncomfortable everyone is around Biden because they're like, all right, please just look normal in front of everyone. Like Joe Manchin, you can see he turns to Schumer. He's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this pen? He's like, you just keep it. Like, even though just those side dialogues, you're just like, and then everyone, he goes and shakes people's hand, but it almost looks like at the end that people are like, wait, aren't we supposed to go off? Is he staying? What should we do? Like, clearly no one knew what places they needed to be in.
Like, who's
and
in
the music made it sillier. Like, I think
it's like the Benny Hill. Silly. Yeah, it was like Benny Hill did or like an old ass like Laugh-In basically doing a White House skit. Like, it's not even SNL. Like, this is just, and this is what the worst part about it. This is the most powerful man in the Western world. I won't say the world because we could get to Taiwan and we know how powerful China is, but in the Western world, this is the most powerful man, and this guy can probably barely put on his socks.
It's scary.
It's scary as hell.
And so he also goes, he flies off the handles. It's just the fact that we don't see those cuts as much because they cut it out because the media's on his side. He flies off the handle just like Trump does. But,
and then shortly after that, this is when he tested positive for COVID a third time, and Joe Biden tested positive yesterday.
So that was like 3 days ago when they did this, right?
Yeah. So it's like super spreader after super spreader, and it's just ridiculous.
See? Dark Brandon's killing people. Like, he's just Dark Brandon.
Well, maybe he's Dark Brandon. That's why he hasn't died yet, is because he's Dark Brandon. Because any sort of there we go. Yes, absolutely. This is Dark Brandon. This is basically the Dark Knight, or this is like Joker 2. Before
Joker 2. This is Joker 2. No, please no.
Joker 1 was enough. What the hell would
Joker
2's
coming?
Like?
Joker 2's coming.
If Joker 2 almost caused the meltdown of society, I
know, and it's got Gaga as Gaga's going to be what's her name? My kids dress up like her.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah. So maybe there's going to be a musical number or something in this one. I don't know, but it's society is just screwed. Like, we're just, I mean, we can laugh at this because it's comical, but it's fucking scary because this is just.
He's like Lady Gaga.
Yeah, that would be what the rumor is.
Actually happening.
So, speaking of Taiwan, you brought that up a couple minutes ago.
I did.
We went over a couple weeks ago. Y'all guys went over the fact that Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan on a whim. Seemed like it was a whim, even though those kind of things, I don't think those kind of things usually don't happen without the blessings of your
planned business trip is basically what it was. But
exactly.
It wasn't the business of the U.S.
Definitely not. But now we're seeing that there seems to be some conflict going on. As far as there were more delegates that went over a couple days ago. It's actually floated on the radar a little bit more. But China is responding again with more live ammunition demonstrations off the coast of the South China Sea, and they're doing their drills. And it looks like we're seeing another Ukraine start to play out, because we know that it seems like the U.S. is getting into these proxy wars in just setting them up to get for other empires to take them over.
Well, we might get shut down on YouTube if we keep talking about the U place, but ultimately, like, our friends, including Lee and Ron and a bunch of them were talking about is the fact, and played it, that the U.S. has actually admitted that the U-place is it is a proxy war. They've actually admitted to the fact that they're using that, and so Taiwan being proxy, it's just coming. It's just how can they build this as a brand and rebrand it to get from the blue yellow to the Taiwanese
it's gonna be blue red next, and it's like you're gonna see people with a fucking Israel flag, a Taiwan flag, a Ukraine flag, and an American flag, and they're gonna be like, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, in a Saudi Arabian flag at some point.
Yeah, and don't tread on me.
No, that's so true. But this actually goes over pretty well.
U.S. lawmakers.
Can y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Has sparked umbrage in Beijing and another round of military drills in the Taiwan Strait. China launched new deployments around Taiwan in response to the unannounced U.S. arrival, less than 2 weeks after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's controversial trip to the island. Taiwan's defense ministry reported at least 30 aircraft and 5 ships in the People's Liberation Army being involved in these war games, with 15 planes crossing the unofficial median line separating the Chinese mainland from Taiwan. China says its military drills took place near the strategically important Penghu Islands, that's close to Taiwan's main archipelago. Beijing describes its latest exercises as a stern deterrent to Washington and Taipei to, quote, stop playing political tricks. China earlier claimed it will continue military activity in the Taiwan Strait even after ending its large-scale 4-day drills in the region. Since then, Chinese forces have conducted regular sorties near the territory. Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen has responded to Beijing's drills. She says the military exercises have seriously interfered with stability and peace in the region.
我们不但和国际各方盟友密切合作，严密掌控周边所有的军。
Okay, before we get into that, I just want to say that I don't know if anybody's familiar with. I think Andrew, I know you are because he's one of your senators, Ed Markey. Ed Markey is the progressive senator, one of the progressive senators in Massachusetts, and he actually last year there was that big old kill the Kennedy dynasty and vote Ed Markey in because one of the Kennedys was running again, and everybody got Ed Markey in, and ever since then he's been voting very progressive, like along with the caucus, voting for more war, voting for more police. More police brutality, pretty much. And now he's pretty progressively, progressing the issues that we're having with China by ignoring the one China policy that we agreed to, and now are blatantly disregarding. So,
stability and peace in the region.
我们不但和国际各方盟友密切合作，严密掌控周边所有的军事动态，也持续向国际社会表达台湾致力维护台海稳定的现状的决心。
The group of American politicians was led by Senator Ed Markey, who chairs the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Panel for East Asia and the Pacific. It says the U.S. has a moral obligation to do everything possible to prevent unnecessary conflict. Mr. Markey also praised Taiwan for showing restraint in its heightened tensions with China. The delegation's trip lasted around 20 hours, and they have already departed the island.
他们这次的访问，在时间点上是非常重要，而且有重要意义的，因为中国军演的目的就是要吓阻其他的美国的国会议员到台湾来访问，他们来台湾访问，也再次证明了不是中国可以来指使或要求别的国家的政治人物能不能到台湾访问，那同时它也展现就是美国人民跟台湾人民站在一起这样的一个重要讯息。
I mean, I'm not saying it's not the fact that because China and Taiwan, that's their issue, and I don't think that China should be trying to tell Taiwan what to do and how to rule their own island. However, at the same time, if China had a hidden delegation go over to Hawaii, and be like, hey, we want you to start since the U.S. annexed you pretty much, and illegally like just took you into under their wing, maybe we should start funding you and like cause tension, especially when in a time where we can see that most of these resolutions with China that they're going around the world are actually trying to go in a non-violent like way. They're trying to. So I have the reason to not believe that so far right now that they would be actually not trying to get a reunification, especially with Taiwan right now, in a diplomatic way, opposed to using weapons and doing that kind of thing. Because this is something that this is unprecedented actually. Because we're like they're being aggressive, but it's like we're over there. So what do y'all think about that so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it boggles my mind kind of what you were saying is just how like if we were to have politicians that came over to say like Puerto Rico and met with Puerto Rican leaders there, if China did the same to us there, like I don't think Biden would really be particularly happy or find that humorous. But we, the United States, can just do whatever they want because, America for the United States.
That is it. And I think that, I think it wasn't Maduro. It was, I have to remember Nicaragua's president, but you're likened it to a invasion. He said that Yankees have been doing whatever they wanted for as long as we know, and we just saw what happened in Afghanistan, and the fact that they blatantly disregarded like a rule they already agreed to shows why the world doesn't trust them in the first place. Got going back on their word. So it's just a whole it's just disrespectful, and it's putting us on the brink of war for no reason. And the first time it was like, okay, maybe she's just being like, she's just being selfish going over there. But then like you start to think like if they really didn't want her to go over there, she wouldn't have gone over there. And she's like the third in line anyways. I mean, like behind the president and the vice president. So it's just something that's like wild to see. Like not even 12 days later, you see a whole nother delegation, and they're calling themselves a delegation of peace while blatantly ignoring like things they promised to. So I guess it's the history of the West.
It's the same playbook as they're using in the U place. Like it is got the exact same fingerprints all over it. It's the only difference is they don't have a former comedian who has got a good grasp of the American culture to represent as the leader of Taiwan, as opposed to someone who's actually from Taiwan or has of Taiwanese descent. Yeah, that's the only difference. Other than that, like at least here we're getting a cultural. The news is coming from the cultural side. It's not coming. It hasn't been whitewashed into the CNN covers this. U.S. is good. Taiwan is bad if they don't follow us, sort of thing. So, yeah, it's dangerous as hell. And I mean, all the stuff that I keep looking at is the fact that Taiwan really, what we're getting fed from the U.S. delegates and this guy is the fact that it's the U.S. That's the U.S. propaganda machine we're getting fed, and a lot of it coming from the Taiwanese culture is the fact that they're more into reconnecting with China and with how China is rebuilding itself. I mean, the stat came out that China is the #1 world's most valuable country, like by leaps and bounds. It's got more gross domestic product, GDP, than the U.S. and the other 8 nations underneath it. So it's like 111 billion or trillion dollars it's worth, and the U.S. is at 50 trillion. So like it's double that. Like you're basically it's David versus Goliath, except this isn't the Bible, and you're not going to have someone shoot a fucking rock and knock down the giant. The giant is going to come and it's going to squash you because ultimately the giant is basing itself on a true economy based on gold and actual money,
Exactly.
not a petrodollar.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just being inflated by what the price of oil and the prices of like of what Wall Street dictates. It actually is like backed by something, and not to mention like most of the world. Like we will be like we'll say that like we'll be like most of the world is on our side, and it's like like Europe and like one African country and like maybe like Taiwan, something like Taiwan and Australia, but most of the time, like the rest of the world, like I'd say like the other 80% of the world is usually not on our side and not looking at it in the same like lens as us.
I shared that. Did I share it in the group? What the most hated countries for like which country who's hated the most, and let me look and see if I can quickly find that, because that was
and that's been like that for a long time, like before like shit has hit the fan like that. Like I remember being like I don't know, I remember like 6 or 7 years ago, just like the greatest threat to the world, most countries view it as the United States, and we're always like saying it's China and Russia, and it's just funny like the rhetoric has gotten to this point where like actually like we're going into like these kind of conflicts with those countries because we know that they don't pose as big of a threat as us. And yeah, I mean, obviously Putin has invaded Ukraine, but can anybody honestly say that him invading Ukraine has been more damaging than us like invading, like destroying like a Middle East? Like right now there's a report coming out of Afghanistan that they're boiling grass so they can eat because of the because we have their billions of dollars still like held. I mean, we're killing, like we're destroying like human life. So,
there. So I've got it shared, I think. Sure.
Wait, I need to remove mine, I think. Here you go.
There we go. There we go. Okay. So let me just go in there. So yeah, if you look at the countries, most disliked country in each nation, and if you look how big the U.S. is in those big, like the big giant aspect, and we'd have to really zoom in to see where Taiwan is. Yeah, I think there's a dislike for China there, but there's a lot of U.S. I mean, U.S. is big, but this one, Israel, that's the one that shocked the shit out of me. And
that is very shocking. But I mean, when you really, it's shocking to be honest, because like when you look at like places like Africa, they've been through so much like colonization and stuff like that, and they like seeing like the way South Africa and places like Zambia and like Rhodesia, like that white ethno state, it was like kind of like the blueprints for like something like Israel to come in. And so like I feel like they are a lot more connected on that front with like the Palestinian people just because of that.
Exactly. And that's that whole thing. Like, yeah, like Russia is disliked by these other places. Okay, it makes sense. I mean, I don't know if it's they're using the Russian flag or they hate Putin. Like that's the big thing. Like when you're looking at Israel, you hate that whole, like you hate the Zionist system.
Because you're right about that with the Putin thing, just because of the simple fact is like even the Russian people, even when their leaders are acting like assholes, a lot of the times they're still defiant. Like they'll still be anti-race and anti like whatever, just be like, and while their leaders are just doing whatever the fuck they want. Like
yeah, you can see here there's one of India. So forgive me, I'm not even going to say what country. I can't even tell what country that is, and I can't zoom in right now. But there's a couple that don't like. I mean, so you're not going to like whatever, but I mean, like right here, Canada not liking China. That's all based on because Big Brother U.S. doesn't like China. So it's like fuck off. Like Trudeau doesn't have the balls to actually stand up for anything himself. So it's like
it's whatever. Funny. Brazil's like nah, fuck China too, because they're like Brazil, like, and Brazil's another one of those countries where it's just like, yeah, come on, like,
but and I think it's more like for Brazil, it's probably the fact that oh shit, that's where half of our workforce is. We're losing our workforce to.
But even Brazil has just gotten into that international relationship with China through the BRICS. But through BRICS, so you have Brazil, Russia, India, China, and what was the last one?
North Korea, was it not?
Huh?
Was it North Korea?
No, it was an S. I don't either there is no S or if there's a country with an S.
That's okay, but I'm just saying this. So if you count how much, like, his America, let's go Western society, we pride ourselves on being strong military. We're tough. We're whatever. Fuck, we don't have a hope against the population. Even if they just have fucking rocks and sticks, they're gonna kick the shit out of us. Because there's more in India, China, Russia than we'll ever have. So
exactly,
just by population wise, we don't have.
There's billions of people in Africa. There's billions of people in India. There's billions of people in China. That's insane. There's so many. We only have 300 million people in America. I don't know the population of Canada. So
and I'll say we, as in the fact that that's where we currently live now. If anything changes here, I'm all on Team China, whatever that thing that actually has a solid economy and takes care of its people. Fuck, I'm there. Like, give me the plane ticket and we're there, and we'll do this show from wherever the fuck you want us to be. But right now,
the quality would change dramatically. I assure you, the quality of our show would change if we had it from a country that had an actual basic gay people self-reliance.
The gay people fucking high-speed internet as a basic fucking resource. Jesus. Anyway, like I said, we could rant till the cows come home. Yes, was there anything? Did I miss anything on Taiwan?
No.
Andrew? No. All right.
So the next thing I wanted to go over was Liz Cheney's defeat yesterday by Harriet Hagman or something like that.
Hagman is a great word for her. Holy shit! If we got a picture of her, my God, that's like
she looks like a villain from a Power Rangers, a 90s because I kept seeing her in that jacket where it's looks like that 90s cup with the purple and the green. Helmet. Yeah, and I feel like she'd be I feel like she could be like a one of those monsters from Power Rangers, but she is scary, and that's saying something because Liz Cheney has some pretty terrifying stances on things, and the fact that a bunch of libs are just democracy's dying, and I'll admire Liz Cheney forever. It's just bro, she's anti-abortion. She's voted with Trump 93% of the time.
JT had a scary, JT from the Deprogrammed and Second Thought had a scary fucking tweet yesterday saying that they predict it's going to be Cheney Clinton versus Trump and DeSantis in
Cheney Clinton versus Trump DeSantis. That's one of the scariest lines I've ever heard.
Clinton Cheney. Oh my God.
I'm thinking. I think Andrew Yang's gonna try to get a hold of Liz Cheney.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Fuck,
he's already giving her shout.
Yeah, he's already I think he's trying to. I think he's trying to be hey, be the lead. You think they don't have a big name like that yet on the Ford Party?
So he's like Cenk, eh? Okay, you badmouth that person, and then we'll pay you a bunch of money to come over and be a bootlicker with us.
Pretty much.
Did I say that out loud? Oh shit! I'm sorry.
It's
I told people I wasn't gonna take shots, but yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's unbossed. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Your boss is Cenk.
Yeah, your boss is unhinged. That's basically
that is the only way to describe that person.
Their freaking show is unhinged with Cenk. Cenk. What is? Sorry, I'm going to butcher his name. So I've never watched. Oh, sorry, I've watched some of it, but yeah. Anyway, it would be like trying to watch one of the right-wing lunatics. Like watching Alex Jones. It's very similar, except for the fact that he's not pushing freaking made up silver to cure COVID or any.
I forgot about. I totally forgot about that. Like the silver thing with the Alex Jones thing.
Well, yeah, him and it was Jim Baker. If you remember Jim and Tammy Faye, that was one of the guys who was hawking that shit. Anyway,
unhinged.
Liz Cheney.
More about Liz Cheney. It's Okay, so she won only 2 out of all the count, because I didn't even realize this. Wyoming only has one House district, only one district. There's only one district.
Yeah, it's tiny.
It's tiny. There's I'm pretty sure there's more people in my city than and I don't even live in a big city, than Wyoming, the state itself.
There's only like when they have like the rodeo or whatever that they actually increase the population,
which makes push it in even more perspective why it's so stupid that we have electoral college, because Wyoming has more in voting power than South Carolina. That is like we have 5 million people here. So
yep.
But what I wanted to show you was look at this. This is so bad. Here's the results. We have Hagman 64.7% to Cheney's 30%. And how it is so hard here. Like, you have to just be a historically bad candidate, which she was not. That's not why she lost. But to get that kind of butt whipping, like, as an incumbent, like, incumbents just don't lose. Like it's usually very close. And this is usually the incumbent like whooping, but like this, like incumbent usually gets like over the 50%. So it's crazy. And it's all because modern politics in America is defined by one thing. Do you love or do you hate Donald Trump?
Right.
So, and she crossed in her party. They, think he's like a god. So, and they were like, so you're against him? Well, you're out.
Well, and that's why Fetterman, he's in trouble too. I mean, Oz is unhinged too. He's a fucking lunatic. I mean, the only reason he's there, so right now I blame Oprah Winfrey. Fuck, how much garbage did you put on society? You got him, you got the Texas made up fucking psychologist who let his doctorate go away, who has the cash me outside fucking woman on it. Like, this is what we've got. But Fetterman is coming at Oz stupidly. Like, don't go and just, you should call it a veggie trade. Who fucking cares, dude? You're gonna lose. Come up with something. Speak about what the people want, because if you don't, this lunatic is gonna get in.
And what sucks is the fact that he hasn't been able to campaign because he had a stroke, so he's just kind of been at home, and so it's like it's just been. He had a stroke the day before the primary.
But Fetterman is leading by a good amount, at least in the polls they show.
You can hope.
Yeah, he is, and it's mostly because Oz is an idiot. And I think a lot of people see that he's campaigning. He lives in fucking New Jersey, and doesn't even know what store he's in when he's trying to buy vegetables.
Okay, so he has one of his houses in New Jersey, because he actually lives in LA, or he lives at he's got like 8 houses or something. So
his maid's house is in New Jersey.
Yeah, his maid's house is in New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. He's a man of the people.
The only problem that I would have that if I was Fetterman is Oz has his daughter Daphne, and she is a brand machine, and she's not a bad person. So if he can convince her to come to the dark side, it's going to be it's not like Ivanka there, where you've got freaking using slave labor and whatever. She actually has business sense and whatever. So as long as she stays out of the party, everything should be okay, and Fetterman should just slam dunk it. But I don't know. I don't trust anything. Ever since 2016, for some reason, I don't trust how elections go, because some lunatic who was known for fucking being in the WWE Hall of Fame.
I feel the same way. Like, it broke it, and it showed how broken everything is. It's just like, since 2016, it's just like, but if they don't want this person to win, they're not gonna win. That's just how it goes. It's already it is literally.
Yeah.
Especially,
Fetterman's not that much of a threat, though, to the establishment. No, as much as they're trying to convey.
So he'll be perfect. He'll be great addition.
He's like right of Bernie Sanders, definitely. He wants like weed legal, and what did he chase that black dude down with a gun one time, like out in his yard. He was he freaked out, got a gun. He's still apologizing for that shit.
Oh boy.
What? I got this Australian guy
Yeah,
from this Australian news channel to talk about Liz Cheney. So hopefully the accent will be entertaining.
For Liz Cheney, but she has her sights set on higher office.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this was a shockingly bad result.
After a demolishing yesterday, Liz Cheney decides she's going to run for president.
Result for Liz Cheney. It was in line with some pretty dire polls, although actually it ended up being even worse than they were suggesting. She lost by more than 35% to the Trump-backed challenger to her in this Republican primary, Harriet Hageman. And although Liz Cheney is out there in speeches almost a rallying cry as opposed to a concession, this would still hurt. I mean, Wyoming is Cheney heartland. Liz Cheney went into Congress with the perfect Republican pedigree. Her father, Dick Cheney, was the vice president. She was conservative. She's a pro-business candidate. She's a hawk on foreign policy. She used to be one of the shining lights of the Republican Party, rose very quickly through the ranks to become the third highest Republican in the US Congress. But it all went wrong when she effectively picked a fight with Donald Trump. She was one of the few Republicans who's been happy to call him out repeatedly about his lies about the 2020 election, which he claims was stolen from him. And even more important than that has been her role as the vice chair of the House committee that has been investigating the riots at the US Capitol on January 6th, which she claims Donald Trump incited, and she says that he is the biggest risk to the democratic system here in the United States and to the republic itself. We heard from Liz Cheney this morning. She did an interview with NBC, and she was asked, as has been rumored now for a few months, whether or not she would actually be willing to take Donald Trump on directly by also going for the US presidency.
Are you considering running for president yourself?
We've got to get this party back to a place where we're embracing the values and the principles on which it was founded, and talking about, fundamental issues of civics, fundamental issues of what does it mean to be a constitutional republic.
So, Carrington, does Liz Cheney have a realistic shot at the presidency?
Well, I mean, given how poor her result was in the deeply red Republican Wyoming, it would suggest that she is not a particular fan favorite of the base Republicans. Donald Trump does seem to have a stranglehold over this party. She may choose to run, according to some analysts, to make a point and to really take the fight up to him directly during the Republican primary process, but she's very unlikely to actually nab that nomination. But then there is a different path for her. The question is whether or not Liz Cheney is willing to go outside the Republican Party to run as a third-party candidate or an independent in order to effectively try to spoil Donald Trump's path back to the White House. By running as a third candidate, it is possible that she could take enough votes off Donald Trump that he would lose key swing states, and that would help whoever the Democrat challenger is for the presidency, if that's Joe Biden or somebody else. This is being just speculated at this point, but given the statements that we've heard from Liz Cheney, she invoked the memory of Abe Lincoln and his defeats before he was actually able to take the presidency, would indicate that she does have higher ambitions and doesn't believe a loss in this primary means the end of her political career.
And what does this mean about the ascendancy once again of Donald Trump in the run-up to the 24 election?
It's very clear that Donald Trump has control of this party, has control of the Republican Party. In the early stages of this primary season, so this is choosing the candidates for the Republicans ahead of this year's midterm elections, he had some dicey results. Some of the candidates he was endorsing won, some of them lost. But this was by far the most high-profile challenge to a sitting member who had gone on the attack against Donald Trump. And this is this is a huge victory for Donald Trump. And in recent times, he has managed to get many more candidates up that he's endorsed than the ones that he hasn't endorsed. In saying that, the test will be the midterm elections. If the Trump-endorsed candidates, many of whom are outside the mainstream of what at least used to be the Republican Party, don't win, that the Republicans lose seats that they probably would have won if they'd chosen a more moderate candidate, then perhaps his stranglehold will loosen. But at this point, it's pretty clear that any Republican who dares to cross Donald Trump is in trouble with the base of the Republican Party.
Okay, Carrington Clark reporting there from Washington.
So yeah, we have where'd Andrew go?
Don't know.
Oh,
just disappeared.
Yeah, so we have the last Cheney has been effectively booted out of Congress, and which is pretty ridiculous.
It is, but I mean, like,
what
do we actually, are we shocked about this? Really? I mean, Dick Cheney was a warmongering, evil person. Like, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn or if people don't believe me or whatever the case. I mean, shit, he was the one that pulled the strings.
So bad. And she was back there cheering him the whole time. So it's not like she was like a kid. It was not like she was like a 2-year-old or something. Like when we invaded Iraq, she was like in her like 40s. So I mean, she was a grown ass woman when that happened. So and she was doing the same thing. She still supports torture. She's anti-abortion. She voted with Trump 93% of the time, like I was saying earlier. Like the only thing that she did that was heroic was that she disagreed with Trump about like the fact that he should lie about the elections, which I'm sure on a smaller scale, even her as a Republican allegedly would not have a trouble doing that, you know? So
you shouldn't try and kill the vice president. I think she disagreed with him on that too, but allegedly.
What I wanted to see was what Trump said about this. He says, "Congratulations to Harriet Hagman on her great and very decisive win in Wyoming. This is a wonderful result for America and a complete rebuke of the unselect committee of political hacks and thugs. Liz Cheney should be ashamed of herself, the way she acted and her spiteful, sanctimonious words and actions toward others. Now she can finally disappear into the depths of political oblivion, where I'm sure she will be much happier than she is right now. Thank you, Wyoming." Wow.
Number one, he couldn't have written that because that's too concise and has too many big words.
And just the fact that, you know, he's just lambasting, putting that, like, is one thing just be like Liz Cheney sucks and all that. He's just coming in. He's pretty much just like she's a woman.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just, that's pretty much what he was like. All the words he chose were just so like overtly misogynistic dog whistles. It's just like, okay, all right, Trump. But yeah, the fact that he said she was going to disappear into political oblivion, I did enjoy that.
Well, the key is that I'm sure we've talked about it too, is the fact that the Democrats are the Republican Party. Like, that's the Republican Party of the 90s or the 80s or whatever. What the Republican Party is now is crazy.
Exactly. So, the Republican Party is the party of fascists now, and the Democrat Party is the new Republican Party. And that's what people don't understand is, like, we are literally seeing like a convergence because they've lost control. They're like, because the political class has lost control since Donald Trump, and they're being rebuked left and right what the candidates they're trying to choose. And so we have which Elon Musk was talking about today, like, I support the right side of the Democratic Party and the left side of the Republican Party. Those two are the same now. They're like literally they've converged into the Democratic Party. That's why you have, like, if you go online, there's a bunch of people like trying to get her to go, even like people like Joe Walsh, like who ran against Trump in 2020. He's like, Liz Cheney, you have to go Democrat. Like, so she said so far she's not, but you know, depending the right person gets in her ear, you know, she'll go.
How many promises that'll pay her how much money? I mean, they've already given her the if she wants to do any sort of oil projects to like any sort of pipeline, whatever. Biden with that little bill that he signed has basically given her the green light to take over whatever indigenous owned land and destroy society. So she's already got that, I guess. I mean, it's the lobbyists. I think that's the big thing. If they have enough lobbyists there, it'll be good.
Yeah, her having to run every 2 years. I'm sure she didn't really want to do that. She wanted to be in somewhere like Senate or something, like where she only has to run every 6 years. So we'll see. You'll see. This is not. I don't. Something tells me this is not the end of Liz Cheney, and I think that we may see something like the Ford Party, who has we have Andrew Yang, who's already reached out to her. And speaking of the Ford Party, I want to go over one last video. If you're down, I want to go over the Ford Party's hilarious video from yesterday with Jim Acosta. Pretty much like he went on CNN, Andrew, you went on CNN, and then he just revealed that the Ford Party is a hollow shell of a political party. And what's funny is that they're teaming up with things like Serve America, which is like literally what we're just talking about, like Liz Cheney Republicans, like pretty much Henry. Like if we're looking at it, we're just seeing like people who are fiscally conservative and socially liberal, and not even like they're not even social liberal. They're just neocons. So let me get this video up real fast because this video is pretty good. But Andrew Yang is building a strong coalition of Republicans and Democrats,
and very proud to be a centrist.
Exactly. And what's scary is that this did happen in France a couple years ago, and that's how we got what's his face,
Macron.
Yeah, because they made a new party, and they were a centrist party, and they were able to consolidate enough votes, and they were able to get in. And that's not it's something that, like, I know we're clowning it and people think it's fun, but that's the thing. Centrists are just empty rhetoric and just want to keep going. So if he gets if the right media presence, say, if you get the right candidate, it could be bad. It could be devastating, bro.
Well, shit, they already have, and I mean, I posted it yesterday. I was just disgusted by Newsmax had this story on Rushdie's assailant, and that will go into the accosting Mr. Yang.
Yeah, I've never I usually this is just there's some moments here that's just ridiculous.
And let me ask you about your new Forward Party, because you say it's an attempt to appeal to what you say is the moderate common sense majority. It's also the same name as your book. Is this an attempt to pump up book sales?
Well, I'd have to say this would be a pretty silly way to go about it, given that we have co-founded a national party that now has tens of thousands of Americans signed up, co-chaired by former governor of New Jersey, Christine Todd Whitman. And the fact is 62% of Americans.
But are you just promoting yourself? I guess what I'm asking is, are you just out there promoting yourself with this?
Again, Jim, there are, as you can easily imagine, there are hundreds of better ways to go about promoting a book than starting a political party to do so. I mean, I'm building this party because 62% of Americans want it. We're more polarized than ever. And the fact is the two parties have divvied up the country so that 79 to 90% of races are uncompetitive. Most of the people watching this right now aren't even living under a two-party system. They're living under one party.
The other week, I asked veteran Democratic strategist James Carville about what he thought of the Forward Party, and he had quite a strong reaction. Let's listen to that.
So far, he's not giving any real answers. He's just sitting there being he's just giving the rigmarole. The two parties have split everything up, and he's like, "Yeah, but you have a party now. So what do?" And he just the two parties are splitting everything up.
I think a nation or
and then we have the crypt keeper here, James Carville, who hates Bernie Sanders, hates anything to the left, the actual left, and
What is he wearing?
Yes, this stands out as a really good idea.
Military LSU Tiger
elected George
jersey?
W. Bush in 2000. Anyway. Jill Stein basically elected Donald Trump in 2000.
Still pushing the Ralph Nader thing when everyone who has any sense knows that the Supreme Court and Jeb Bush made it to where like George Bush won, and then what's his face? Gore didn't even kind of challenge it. He was like, okay.
16. And the only possible thing this could do is bleed some moderate Republicans off of voting for whoever the Democratic nominee is. This thing is going nowhere. It's vanity. It's look at me. It's performance art.
What's your response to that, Andrew? Is this, hey, look at me?
Oh, well, even his description jumps straight to the presidential race, which is not where our focus is at all. Our focus is on the 506,000 locally elected officials, school board members, city council members, mayors, county executives, because again, in the majority of the country, 70% of these races are uncompetitive or uncontested. The American people want real choice. We want to provide it
people obviously
to them
worry.
in their towns and communities and where they
those
live.
lower level races are obviously important, but people worry about another 2016 scenario where a third party candidate like Jill Stein or Gary Johnson costs Hillary Clinton the election. Don't you think that putting yourself out there, putting this party out there as an alternative that appeals to some moderate Republicans could potentially throw the race to Donald Trump, put Donald Trump back in the White House? Is that what you want?
I'm the co-chair of an anti-extremist
That's how you get
party.
Trump.
I ran against Trump.
Okay.
So I don't plan on doing anything that's
do anything else out of the bounds.
Trump's odds. But again, 62% of Americans want a third party, and we are looking right now at a competitive U.S. Senate race as one example, where you have an independent Evan McMullin running neck and neck with a Trump-endorsed incumbent in an environment
but the Democratic
that,
Party
frankly,
in Utah,
the
Democratic Party out in Utah got behind Evan McMullin. Andrew, why not run again as a Democrat? If you want to be president, run again as a Democrat.
So, Jim, you know, I haven't made any conclusions about 2024 except for the fact that the United States needs a unifying, positive third-party movement because we're getting increasingly polarized. And if it's not Trump, it's going to be a successor to Trump because this system is uniquely vulnerable to authoritarianism. You have a two-party system.
But I can hear the folks over at the White House. President Biden has had Republican.
Need a better system.
That is like the fourth time he has said this. He's not answering anything. He's like a broken robot or something.
100%. I mean, he has points, but like like we've talked about this. Like the two-party system doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work for the people. And I don't know. Like looking at the numbers, did Jill Stein even get 5%, 2%?
No, Jill Stein wasn't even a spoiler. Gary Johnson got more votes than Jill Stein, and
Ross Perot got more votes than Jill Stein.
Yeah,
like
once again,
and he got just lambasted. I don't know. Like even but I mean, CNN has just become the fucking Democratic, the DNC machine, and they've lost whatever. Like ever since Trump is out, they don't have the viewership anymore because they don't have someone going after Trump every fucking 5 minutes. So now you just got to spew the DNC
bring on people who might possibly bring Trump back.
So the White House said President Biden has had Republican support on a number of agenda items. He is trying to work in a bipartisan fashion. Why not try to support that as a Democrat? You were just a Democrat 10 minutes ago.
I support attempts to cross the aisle, but we can all see that 7 out of 10 of the Republicans that bravely voted to impeach Trump are already going to be out of Congress by the time January comes along. And the moderate population in both parties is unfortunately dwindling quickly. So the political incentives end up disproportionately empowering the 10% of extremes on both sides.
But you're going to have to come up with policy
really
positions.
Negative results.
Right,
we
but
just
Andrew,
need a better system.
Yeah, but Andrew, you're going to have policy positions at some point. How does the Forward Party feel about Roe versus Wade? Should it have been overturned?
Well, I personally think that women's reproductive rights are fundamental human rights, but the Forward Party has.
Whoa. There's why is there a but, huh? And he said, I personally. Now, why is that? Because when we go back to it, we were talking about that earlier. The four parties merged with Serve America and all these other right-wing Liz Cheney Liz Cheney Republicans. And so pretty much all the people who own that are anti-abortion. So he can't be like, yeah, the party platform is reinstall and then codify Roe versus Wade. He's like, I personally
as not left or right, but forward stance on even the most divisive and contentious issues.
Well, what does that
There's
mean? Don't you have to take a position on something? Don't you have to take a position on something? You can't just say, well, this is a hot button issue, so I'm not going to take a position on it. If you want to run the country, you're going to have to make some hard decisions, Andrew.
Again, the Forward Party is about that common sense consensus majority view, which is very clear on abortion. It's clear.
What about guns? What about assault weapons?
On climate change. It's actually clear on just about every issue under the sun.
Should 18-year-olds be able to buy
AR-15s? Because of the nature of our system.
Should 18-year-olds be able to buy AR-15s?
Again, the common sense consensus majority is that there should be some rules around background checks and access to firearms. But we're not getting any of these things, Jim, because the two-party system does not need to deliver.
But it doesn't sound like you're taking any hard positions. It sounds like you're
trade power.
It sounds like you're sort of a fill-in-the-blank party. If somebody wants a party with no clear policy positions, you're it. But unfortunately, in the real world, you have to take a position on something.
Well, we're for the common sense consensus view on guns, abortion, climate change, but we're not getting a common sense consensus
what are those
result
positions?
on any of those things, Jim. And
those
Americans
are just sort of
fuzzy. Why.
But those are fuzzy, nebulous. It sounds like you came up with something in a focus group. Common sense, middle of the ground. That sounds wonderful. That sounds great. But at the end of the day, don't you have to take a position on something?
Darts.
Well, the great thing is the American people know where we want the country to go. And
no, we don't.
We know that we need a more dynamic representative system than we're getting right now, which is why the Forward Party is growing
we're not going backwards.
Tens of thousands of Americans have signed up in all 50 states because we know that the two-party system is getting worse, not better, and we know we need something new.
And who is going to be bankrolling the Forward Party? Will you pledge to be very upfront and candid and transparent about where your money comes from?
No.
It's transparent for all to see. And the people that are bankrolling us are everyday Americans who are sending $10, $20, $30 because there's such an enormous appetite for change.
And
one of the things I tell people,
corporate money coming in
for all to see.
Outside money,
again,
money?
It's completely transparent for all to see. But I can say that our money has not been coming in from corporations. It's been coming in from everyday Americans who want something better for
and
us.
You'll pledge to put that on a website, or if a news organization comes to you and says, we'd like to see this information, will you pledge to make that information available?
Right now. Holy shit.
Well, Jim, I'm going to actually tell you, we don't have a choice. Like, we have to file every 3 months, so anyone who wants to see it can just check it out.
And finally, I guess, it would be good to be able to get a clear answer from you on Donald Trump. What is more important to you, to see a Forward Party candidate become president of the United States, or to make sure that Donald Trump stays out of the White House? Let me put the question this way. If you were a Forward Party candidate, let's say in 2024, and you are running the risk of drawing
Cheney is
voters
more
away from the Democratic Party candidate in a way that would put Trump back in the White House, would you pull back
so bad
to avoid that situation from happening?
That's shout out Rye87.
You could resolve this particular issue very, very straightforwardly by adopting something called ranked choice voting, which would enable people to vote for anyone they want, and then if their number one choice doesn't win, then their second choice would get their vote.
Hell yeah!
But the truth is that neither Democrats nor Republicans really want to solve for what you're calling the spoiler effect, because they're more about limiting the choices of the American people rather than opening it up. Our goal is a system that allows Americans to vote for whomever they want and not be, frankly, scared of, quote unquote, wasting their vote or spoiling it.
He's always going to be a one-issue candidate.
So you don't see the Forward Party as a potential spoiler that could result in Donald Trump being reelected or put back in the White House?
Again, our focus is on local races, including some very exciting congressional races this November, where we think there's a lot on the line. I'd urge people to check out Evan McMullin's U.S. Senate campaign in Utah that I'm supporting personally. Lisa Murkowski in Alaska is a very principled leader who also voted to impeach Trump, who's on the ballot. Her primary competitor is a Trump endorsed election denier. So I think that there's a lot on the line right here in November, and that's where our focus is.
Thinking about going solar, but not sure whether it's worth it for your home. Well,
he just said Lisa Murkowski was a principled, Anywho, so as we can see, Andrew Yang is Andrew Yanging, and him and I feel the fact he's used this is what is he? He's used this as this is a startup. It's just like he's using it like a Silicon Valley. He has no like a Silicon Valley startup. He has no actual. He just has an idea, and there's no substance to it at all. He's waiting for investors, and he's treating it like a startup to me. Like there's no nothing. It looks like it's like a Kickstarter that's like fund this watch that's gonna happen, and then like eventually you'll get the watch and it's gonna be shitty. But at least at least the watch moves forward. Like I don't fucking know.
Well, our comrade Sabby had Jesse Ventura on, and I watched. I was listening mostly, but and I mean, fact because I'm a fucking wrestling fan, so love the fact that Jesse started talking about basically fucking called out Hogan for screwing over the WWE's union bust because he's the one that went to McMahon. Anyway, point being. Sabby asked him, he goes, is this like the forward party or whatever? And basically, they're more of a organizing committee as opposed to a party. So they're not going to, it doesn't look like they're going to be running any candidates. They're just going to be supporting their choice of candidates and collecting money under this whatever. I mean, if Andrew Yang had any sort of common sense, as he keeps talking about, he would push fucking UBI because that's what Americans want. They want a universal basic income. They want to be able to take care of their families and not worry about being decimated by poverty. That's the thing that would fucking get him. He would beat Trump. He'd beat Biden. Beat anyone. Fuck. You put the Rock on the ballot and he'd beat him if it was UBI versus whatever they were pushing.
We could probably do a whole thing on Andrew Yang, to be honest, because there's just so fucking much. He's made a whole portfolio in like 2 years, like a whole political portfolio in like 2 years, and it's so fucking wild. But unfortunately, I don't know. I didn't mention the reason I've been gone for the last month is because we had a new baby, and I have to actually log off right now because the simple fact is that there's some baby stuff going on. But if everybody who's watching would like and subscribe, share the video. This is on Patreon as well. It's unlocked, so you can just go watch and share with friends. And fuck Joe Biden, fuck Liz Cheney, fuck Trump, fuck all of them. They all suck, and they don't want your best. They don't have none of them have your best interest at heart. Fuck Andrew Yang because he's trying to grift off of this fucking division by going forward through all of it. But until we'll be back on Sunday. I think me and Andrew are going to be interviewing Matthew Ho Sunday night at 7 on maybe I think we're going to have an overlooked episode, just depending on how everything goes. But we definitely be doing the interview. But this was awesome. We're going to have to do more late nights. I thought you guys.
100%. Are we still on?